Are you ready to travel back in time to one of the most fascinating periods in our planet's history? In this video, you and I will dive into the Ice Age, the time that shaped our world as we know it today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait, isn't that the movie with the cute talking animals? Well, while the movie might have given us a taste of what life was like during the Ice Age, today we're going to delve into the real deal. We'll explore the chilly facts and frozen wonders of this frigid era and see how it all stacks up against the animated adventures we know and love. But don't worry, this won't be a snooze fest filled with dry facts and figures. So grab your coats and get ready to chill out with some cool facts about the Ice Age. Picture it. The world thousands of years ago covered in a blanket of snow and ice. It was a time known as the Ice Age, and it was one of the most fascinating periods in Earth's history. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I think of the Ice Age, my mind automatically goes to that adorable little sloth from the movie. But let me tell you, there is so much more to this frozen time period than just animated critters. First off, did you know that the Ice Age lasted for around 2.6 million years? That is longer than the entire existence of the human race so far. And during that time, huge sheets of ice covered much of the land, causing sea levels to drop and exposing land bridges that allowed animals, including humans, to migrate to new areas. Speaking of animals, the Ice Age was home to some of the coolest, pun intended, creatures to ever walk the earth. We're talking mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, giant sloths, and more. And while the movie might have made us fall in love with the likes of Manny the mammoth and Sid the sloth, they were all real and roamed the earth during this time. The real animals of the Ice Age were just as interesting, if not more so. Did you know that the woolly mammoth, one of the most iconic animals of the Ice Age, had a coat of fur that was over a foot thick, and that the saber-toothed tiger with its massive fangs was actually a distant relative of modern-day cats? But it wasn't just the animals that were interesting. The people who lived during the Ice Age were pretty remarkable too. They had to adapt to survive in some of the harshest conditions imaginable, and they did it all without the modern technology and conveniences that we take for granted today. They had to develop different technologies, like the spear thrower, which allowed them to throw spears farther and with more accuracy. And they had to come up with new ways to stay warm, like making clothing from animal hides. It was a time of incredible innovation and creativity, and it's amazing to think about how far we've come since then. Now let's talk about one of the most important things during the Ice Age: food. Humans and animals alike had to adapt their diets to survive in these harsh conditions. For example, did you know that ancient humans in Europe would regularly hunt mammoths for their meat, bones, and tusks? But it wasn't just the humans that had to get creative with their diets. Some animals, like the woolly rhinoceros, evolved to have specialized teeth for grinding up tough vegetation. Others, like the Arctic fox, developed a thick coat of fur to help them survive in the frigid temperatures. And let's not forget about the woolly mammoths, who were able to survive on a diet of tough grasses and shrubs thanks to their massive size and incredible digestive systems. Another cool fact about the Ice Age is that it wasn't just one long, uninterrupted freeze fest. There were actually loads of different periods of glaciation. That's the fancy term for when the glaciers advanced and covered more land. And during the warm periods in between, the glaciers would retreat and the earth would thaw out a bit. It was kind of like a never-ending game of freeze tag. But even during the warm periods, life during the Ice Age wasn't exactly a day at the beach. Actually, maybe it was, since a lot of beaches were exposed as sea levels dropped, but you get the idea. The landscape was barren and windswept, and it would have been pretty inhospitable to most creatures. One group of animals that did thrive during the Ice Age, though, were the birds. They evolved to have smaller bodies and wingspans than their modern-day counterparts, which helped them to conserve heat and energy in the chilly climate. And some birds, like the penguin, even lost the ability to fly altogether, since it wasn't necessary for their survival. One of the most interesting things about the Ice Age was the impact it had on the world's geography. As the glaciers advanced and retreated, they carved out deep valleys and created towering peaks. In In fact, some of the world's most famous landmarks were formed during the Ice Age. Take the Matterhorn in the Swiss Alps, for example. This iconic peak was sculpted by glacial erosion over thousands of years. And while the Ice Age might have been a chilly time for us humans, it was actually a period of relative stability for the planet's climate. During the last Ice Age, which ended around 11,000 years ago, the Earth's climate was cooler and drier, but it was also more consistent than it is today. In fact, the Ice Age helped to create the conditions that allowed human civilization to flourish. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but what about the movie? Well, while the movie might have taken some creative liberties with its portrayal of the animals, I mean, a saber-toothed tiger and a mammoth becoming best friends, stranger things have happened, I suppose. It did get some things right. For example, the movie accurately portrayed the harsh conditions of the Ice Age and the struggle that animals and humans alike faced to survive. And who could forget that iconic scene where Scrat the squirrel tries to bury his acorn, only to set off a chain of events that leads to the breakup of the Pangaea supercontinent. Okay, maybe that part wasn't quite accurate, but it was still pretty entertaining. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of the Ice Age. Whether you're a fan of the movie or you're just curious about the real history of this frozen era, there's no denying that the Ice Age was a time of incredible change and transformation. So next time you're admiring a towering mountain peak or snuggling up in a warm fur coat, take a moment to appreciate the legacy of the Ice Age and all that it has given us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.